Good morning. It's Monday and it's time for our daily devotion. This week we're looking into Acts chapter 12. I'm recording this on Sunday, so this morning I mentioned that Acts chapters 11 and 12 kind of are a transitional piece where we move from focusing on what the original 12 apostles are doing toward what Paul is doing, and that transition kind of happens in this area. The passage I'm going to read today will stay in Acts all week, I think. The passage I'm going to read today is Acts 11:27 through chapter 12, verse 5. This covers a fair amount of time. There's a bit of a, like we'll see in the end of 11 here, there's a time span of a year or more, but then but then we back up a little bit into that. And so it's a little, I'm saying all that, it's a little confusing, it's a little tricky to get a handle on how much time is passing here, especially since all we see is words right after, one right after another in line in the text. But we'll try and navigate it as best we can. At that time, this is 11:27, prophets came down from Jerusalem to Antioch. One of them, named Agabus, stood up and predicted by the Spirit that there would be a severe famine all over the world. And so this part of it happens in line with where we are in the text and what's happening there. And then now, on reflection, Luke, who's writing this down later, says, and this famine took place during the reign of Claudius. The disciples determined that according to their ability, each would send relief to the believers living in Judea. This they did, sending it to the elders by Barnabas and Saul. Now about that time, and this is where it's a little unclear, Herod laid violent hands upon some who belonged to the church. He had James, the brother of John, killed with the sword. After he saw that it pleased the Jews, he proceeded to arrest Peter also. This was during the festival of unleavened bread. When he had seized him, he put him in prison and handed him over to 4 squads of soldiers to guard him, intending to bring him out to the people after the Passover. While Peter was kept in prison, the church prayed fervently to God for him. Now, what I don't know is where in this time frame does this happen? Is it sometime during that year when Paul and Barnabas were in Antioch? Is it after that? Is it how far into the famine? I don't know that it's critical, but do have a sense that we are not talking about one day this, next day, next day, next day. There is some passage of time here. All right, so and there's uncertainty, right? And so as I think of uncertainty, I think of walking by faith, and so that's the song for this morning. We walk by faith, and it's number 588 in Voices Together. And here I'll sing it. We walk by faith and not by sight. No gracious words we hear from one who spoke as none e'er spoke, but we believe him near. We may not touch his hand and side, nor follow where he trod, yet in his promise we rejoice, and cry, my Lord and God. Help then, O Lord, our unbelief, and may our faith abound, to call on you when you are near, and seek where you are found. That when our life of faith is done, in realms of clearer light, we may behold you as you are, in full and endless sight. We walk by faith and not by sight. No gracious words we hear from one who spoke as none e'er spoke, but we believe him near. Amen.